Guys, let's talk about some of the potential day 2 picks the Browns can make after a quick word from Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, in practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All-Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor's ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your supply chain is easier, managing logistics is easier, responding to price changes is easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com. The Browns have 4 picks tonight. Number 33.
Let that sink in for a second. We'll
take it on the screen and you can see it.
4 picks.
For right now.
Yeah, I haven't ruled out that they're going to move some.
2 of the first 4 picks, at least scheduled, 33 and 36. They also pick at 67 and 94 here in the 4th round. I just want to give you guys a little list. I took ESPN's best available players for the second day of the draft. And if you want to take 272 here, but the best available players according to ESPN: Will Johnson, Mike Green, Nick Emanwari, Donovan Ezeraku, Darius Alexander, Travion Henderson. I have position by position specific.
The first 2 guys there, Mike, a lot of people thought were going to be in first-round picks.
They fell dramatically.
Now, that Mike Green guy from Marshall, right? He's from Marshall?
He's from Marshall.
There's character concerns with him.
There are.
Yes.
And listen, I know he's a really talented player. The only reason I know about him is because they were talking about the Bengals maybe drafting him at 17.
Right.
And I'm just worried. Like, the Browns have taken a lot of character concerning guys lately. It's tricky. I mean, I can't imagine they're going to take a defensive lineman again, but, you never know.
So what's your ideal haul tonight? They have 4 picks. Let's go pick by pick. What's your ideal haul for the Browns in round 2?
First and foremost, you still can get Shedeur Sanders and you still can get Jalen Milroe, first and foremost. That doesn't prohibit you from looking at a quarterback next year. That don't prohibit you from doing nothing. You need multiple quarterbacks, right? Tyler Shuck is there. Jalen Milroe is there. You got guys, Quig Ewers, Kyle McCord. Listen, the Browns have to have I'm drafting a quarterback in this draft. It is what it is. If Golden Boy comes out and you got enough picks to go get him too. That does not prohibit you from doing it. Second-round picks is minimosky on the money, and you can move on from like that. Anyways, I'm going to get me a quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is there. Jalen Milroe is there. Now you have a quarterback that you can develop and do something with. Now let's get to these running backs. The running back list, I'm sure you got it. You got Travion Henderson, Junkins, Caleb Johnson I like a lot. Listen, Dylan Sampson I like a lot. All these running backs are worthy of a second-round pick. You give me a running back, I'm cool with it. So say, for instance, you draft Milroe. I got something exciting to talk about. We can use him in the package, and you can play him a little bit now. You give me a Travion Henderson, the number 1 running back on the board. Now you got a stalwart back. You got a back you're going to get a ball to, and now I'm more excited. Then you get to them 3rd-round picks. Guess what I need to get? I need a tight end. Where's the tight end list, McNuggets? There we go. I like a Royal right here out of Miami. He's a monster. He can get down the field. It reminds me of a young Jimmy Graham. I like Mason Taylor as well. Terrence Ferguson is another big target. These guys, Harold Fannin Jr. is available. You got one of those. Oh, and by the way, listen, let me get one of these. Listen, let me give me an offensive lineman. Give me your best available for the offensive lineman. Listen, I like Belton. I like Cameron Williams. I like the kid from Minnesota. You still can get one of those dudes, best available tackle on the board, and I'm excited. You have your D tackle, but here's the thing too. I wouldn't be mad if it was Luther Burden. If it was Luther Burden, I'd take him as well.
Guys, I think we've learned once again it's hard to predict what the Browns are going to do. They're a very hard team to predict. They do. I'll give them credit. They do a good job of keeping quiet. These things don't get out very easily from the Browns.
That
in this new era, the Browns used to be terrible at that.
Right.
They would let everything out. There's 2 things I think I know today.
Yeah.
One, the Browns will not draft at 33. I'd be shocked if they don't trade down.
The last 3 years.
I will be shocked.
The last 3 years.
33 is
33's been traded.
Think about this. There were 3 or 4 trades at the back end of the first round.
There were.
The Giants traded up.
After a relatively quiet first round.
Right. The Falcons gave up a first-round pick next year to take a defensive lineman at 27. I couldn't believe that.
That was as much crazy juice as Jacksonville.
That was insane.
Well, I mean, look what they did last year with Penix. Like, after signing Kirk Cousins. And they were high-fiving in their draft room.
I can understand if you want to trade down. You traded the number 2 overall pick. Cool.
Yeah.
But to me, trading the second pick in this round completely says we ain't trying to do nothing.
Well, I think they'll use the 36th pick.
36 allows
maybe
them
why
to
they went
move,
and got
right. That's
36 allows you to move 33.
Because if they
want.
Exactly right.
If there are, my question is this: if there are great players right here available to take
them.
Take them.
Yeah. What they might be thinking, G, because you made a great point. When you look at that list of running backs, as much as I want Travion Henderson, if I don't get him, I'm getting a really good one if I want in the 3rd round.
Right.
There's depth there.
You can get you can build your ship as you're moving towards a broader goal. That's what I'm trying to say here. If you want the quarterback and that's the shining thing that you want, you can do things along the way to not only play better this year, but also help said quarterback in years to set up. Yeah. How great would it be if you had a receiver that you found in the 2nd round that's really good?
Right, but anybody like that they can get at 36 instead. You're saying they could take 2 of those guys potentially.
I could get at 33 and 36. I could get 2 starters.
Right, but you may be right. I'm saying the Browns. They showed you their hand yesterday. They told you it's all about next year, whether you like it or not.
But that's the wildest thing I've ever heard is that you're not gonna pick regular positions because it's all about next year.
No, they are. But what I think they're gonna do for 33, they will get a 2nd round pick next year, maybe even a 1st next year. Maybe they'll get a 3rd first.
But if you drop the 33 to 41 and pick up a 2 next year or even a 3
now
next year.
you have 4 picks in the top 2 rounds.
If you still have 36 and 40, I'm just throwing out 41.
Yeah.
It's not like they're gonna go from 33 out of the 2nd round.
But
you just drop down.
All I'm saying is,
and get something else.
All I'm saying is, when guys keep saying we don't need, we actually we got more than one need to fill. We say it all the time. We got more than one hole. We got quarterback, all these other holes. If I'm sitting here and I'm looking at these players and I'm looking at them like that's a starter, you potentially could come away with 3 starters with these picks. The 2 2s and
right, but if you drop from 33 to 41, same thing. You still will.
If you're smart, you can get them in the 3rd round.
If you can get them in the 3rd round, that sounds great. What I want the Cleveland Browns to do is get players, take them, and develop. All this pick stuff next year, that may sound good for DePodesta because then you're kicking the can and saying, oh, we trust them to show up next year and to pick the right people.
Yeah, you're right. Well, next year it might be a different general manager.
But at this point, if they were to drop, as Jason suggested, 8 spots, if they have 36 and 41 instead of 33 and 36 and another 2nd round next year, that I think makes sense. And I was against trading down from 2, but at this point, the general consensus is that there's no great difference between the 30th and 45th player. So,
and I don't care about the names.
Yeah.
Right. Like, there's a lot of good players there.
Yeah.
They need to address the offense, obviously.
Yeah.
The next 3 picks should all be offensive players.
And I think they will.
And it doesn't have to be quarterback, frankly.
I don't think they're going to take a quarterback in the 2nd round. I'll be shocked.
I think Jalen Milroe is different than the other guys because Jalen has we said this last night.
There's something you can't coach.
There is a specific elite skill set that he has that you can use in packages, whether he's your franchise quarterback or not.
Right.
3rd and 2, you can bring Jalen Milroe in and get really creative with him. And you're not committing him to be the long-term
right,
quarterback.
But Jason,
you're not doing that with Shedeur or Tyler Shook or any of these other guys.
But if you, let's say it happens and they actually get their franchise quarterback next year, you're not pulling them out all the time.
No, of course not. But that's what I'm saying. Give me a tackle, a receiver, and a running back with the next 3 picks. I'm good with that.
I'd be great
Jason,
with that.
I'm gonna put the list
I also wouldn't mind a tight end.
I'm going to put the list up of playmakers. We'll take the quarterbacks out, but start 2, 6, 8. Let's just go over the names on these lists. Pick one or 2 that you like. G kind of went through this when he was doing.
I mean, either one of those Ohio State running backs would be great at 33
give me
or
Travion
36.
Henderson.
These guys are all supposed to be excellent players.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Good with these guys.
I mean, at any point.
You know what? Any of those names, if we end up with any of those names on our roster for next season, I'm okay with it.
Travion Henderson's a home run.
He's my
and
he's
the
my
only
dream
reason
pick.
that I haven't talked about him at this point is because I didn't think they'd have the extra pick. I didn't think it was realistic that they would have any shot at getting him.
Right.
Now they do.
Yeah.
All right, so then let's go to receivers. These are some of the
I don't know these receivers. I know Luther Burden people really
Bird's
like
the biggest
him.
Name,
yeah.
I think of all of them. But, I mean, whatever. Just give me a playmaker.
I don't know.
I don't care about the names right now. For me, right now, it's more about the positions.
Can I ask you a question about organization? You probably won't be able to answer this because no one can, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. Everybody's saying that this is it for Andrew Berry. He's got to nail it, or this is his last draft.
I disagree with that.
Well, I know you do, but a lot of other people that are covering the league believe firmly that this is it. This is his. And God, you run through his list of offensive players that he's drafted. It's abysmal.
Oh, it is.
And the thought that you would give him 2 more years is intriguing, if nothing else. Let me ask you this though: how much blame? I'm trying to figure out how this organization moves. I think perhaps the bigger problem that no one is addressing here is Paul DePodesta. How much input has Paul had on Andrew's draft picks? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, he's driving the bus.
I have no idea. Nobody knows. I have no idea. But here's where I would say I would disagree with. If you were GMing for your job, you don't trade from 2 to 5 and pick up a 1 next year.
Well, that might have been out of his control. That's what I'm saying. Paul DePodesta may have been driving that.
No, I don't.
I just don't know.
I think
it feels like a DePodesta move to me.
Well, no, I think this was a Berry move. I mean, according to the story that Mike wrote, and I'll try and dig on that and find more. It was Gladstone and Berry on the phone together.
Right.
Now.
Well, no, I know that. I know. Look, I think he's empowered to make the move. I think it's just my guess because it's all we have. We just don't know how this organization moves, and to me, that is problematic. But you know why? Because nobody has to wear the blame hat.
These were not. Last night was not moves made by a front office that feels like it's in trouble. You don't go from 2 to 5 and draft a defensive tackle. And
here's my point, though. I think you're helping make my point. If Andrew Berry is making all these... Look, if I'm in Andrew Berry's shoes, whether the conventional wisdom is that I'm coming back next year or not, I am GMing for my life. This year. I'm not thinking about next year. You might not get next year. There's no guarantee he's going to get it. Now, if I'm Paul DePodesta and I've survived one tsunami after another and I'm Teflon, I'm telling my GM, look, it's all about picks. And the GM might be going to bed at night going, no, it's not. It's about getting players so I can save my job. G's philosophy. But if Paul DePodesta is in charge and driving the bus on not picking the actual players, but what position we should take here, and let's make this trade to get more capital.
I just don't think there's any reason to believe that.
Yeah, I think this was a Berry. I think it was a Berry decision.
Jay, there could be
just make Paul the GM then.
There could be a guy like that on every
or change him out.
Hey, listen, man.
He's the only guy that's been steady through all this.
I'm telling you right now, if the Browns they get 3-4 wins again. What's going to happen is
I think everybody's going to go.
Somebody's they're going to have to sacrifice somebody. That's what it is. You can't win 3 games.
And who is that somebody going to be?
And that's going to be Andrew Berry.
They're going to
sacrifice because we've already when you ask the question, they say who wanted Deshaun Watson? What's what they say? Andrew Berry was the first one, right? When you talk about that, when you talk about his role, and when you talk about his picks, we didn't even get to the defensive picks. His picks on defense were terrible. But when you look at Kevin Stefanski, he got 2 coaches of the year, right? So, like, if there was a guy on the outs, he could be picking this, and it was nice and cute. He got the first-round pick next year. But the reality of the situation, if they win 4 games, they're going to need to sacrifice somebody.
I'll tell you right now, this is not going to 3-win team next year. I think there was a lot of factors that went. That should have been a 3-win team last year.
No way.
And I think blowing up the offense, obviously the injury, there was just a ton of factors that went into why it unraveled the way that it did. Going back to the type of scheme that this roster had been built for, this offensive line had been built for, if they get a couple playmakers today, this is not going to be a 3-win team. I don't think it's a 9 or 10-win team. But again, I think they're going to win just enough to where they were going to be out of position
and
possibly.
show improvement.
Well, we'll see. I mean, on paper right now, they have the worst offense in the league.
But we got a long ways to go.
Okay, well, it's hard to get out of the basement with 2nd and 3rd round picks.
And listen, you said the worst offense in the league.
Yeah.
And we're advocating moving down to get worse players. Here's what I'm saying. Listen, trust me. Listen, all that analytics, at my heart, I'm a football player, right? And what football players do, we talk about what happens on the field. And when you get people in that locker room and you get Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and all these other dudes, or whatever the case may be, they not talking about no draft picks and all that.
They don't care about the draft.
They're like, listen, I'm out here playing my prime out.
Give me guys to help me win right
Yes.
Right now, that's what they want.
Yes.
And so my thing is, it does an injustice. I cannot sit here and talk about the fairy tales of businessmen when this is the game. Are you getting better or are you not getting better? And are you getting players? You made your move, you got your picks. Don't get cute again. Just get some players and let's roll out.
The reality is they are trying to dig out of the biggest mistake they've ever made.
Maybe the biggest one made in league history.
And you can only do that with players. You can have all the picks. It's about what you do with the picks. And he has
But
no
you have
track
to have
record.
the picks to get the players.
I got it. They got them now. They have them. They got it right.
Yeah.
They
have the capital now
They got
to
the capital.
I do think Jason is right. And now Jimmy could always change his mind, but I do think Jason is right. The Browns are handling this draft as if they don't have job insecurity. That's how Andrew Berry handled
Now
this
you're
draft.
also putting a lot of faith in the owner. I've said this
Right, who
multiple
could
times.
clearly change his mind.
2 weeks
Which,
from now,
by the way,
two
he
weeks from now, he
hasn't
gets
earned.
emotional and gets reactionary.
Yeah.
And fires.
But he has shown a surprising amount of patience with this group,
He has.
as opposed to what he did in the past when he never did that.
He's shown a lot of
He
patience
has.
with Paul DePodesta.
Before we move on, G gave us his scenario. Just let's put a prediction on it with the first pick they make today. Whether that's 33, 36, if they trade back to 34, 35, whatever. With their first pick today, what position do you anticipate and predict the Browns will go with their first pick in round 2?
I think they do trade the 33. I think they take Travion Henderson if he's there at 36.
G,
You said what they do, what they do, or what are they going to do?
what's your prediction for what they will do with their first pick? Whether it's 33 or 36, give me a position or a name, however you want to do it, but put it on the record. Your prediction for their first pick tonight.
Man,
I'm trying to see if everyone has a consensus here on something.
Yeah,
but I'll
Jay
get to
or
that at the end.
Bull, do you guys have an idea?
I would draft Jalen Milroe.
No, but is that what you think they're going to do, though?
No, what are you predicting they will do
They'll
tonight?
probably, I don't know, they might draft a defensive lineman. I don't know. I think they might trade the pick. I mean,
I think they're going to draft. I think they're going to draft an offensive lineman with their first pick in the second
They're
round.
going to trade 33 and they're going to draft an offensive lineman.
I would not hate
tackle
that.
at 36.
The kid from North Carolina, was it NC State?
Because the running backs, I do think they'll take
Because
a running
they're
back.
so-
has
the
a
running
big
backs are
offensive
so
line.
deep.
That's right.
They
That's
can
what
get
I
They can
think.
get a running back at 67.
There's so much quality depth at running back that they're going to say these other positions there's not as much good depth. We can get a good running back later in the second round or in the third round.
You know what my question is on the depth, because that's a fair point. My
Yeah.
question on the running back situation is this. They all look the same. For a while, that's what the league was. They operated under the premise that all running backs are created equal or close. And then we saw what the Eagles did last year. And we know that, I mean, where was Andrew Berry cutting his football chops? Under Howie Roseman.
Philly.
If you believe that 95% of them do look alike, but the elite can take you to the next level, particularly in today's NFL, as the Eagles proved last year, if that's the case and you buy into that philosophy and you think that one of those running backs is that guy, is head and shoulders from everybody else, then you're better off making that move.
Sure.
And getting the player that you think if they all grade out at 96, 94, 95, 94, 93, but if you got one at 95 and then everybody else is at 88, 87, go for 95.
That's where the prize is made. Blanket saying like, these guys are all good. I don't really care the numbers.
Get the great one.
No.
Get the great one.
There is somebody in a lab somewhere on a board saying, I'm staking my joint on this guy because this guy is going to be the deal.
I think a lot of teams would argue you need a great left tackle more than you need a great running back to win.
Well, I've always said left tackle is the second most important position.
Before Saquon Barkley, who's the great running back that won a Super Bowl? It's been a while.
No, but as we say, it's like everything cycles around in the
Barkley
NFL,
was the
and
last
right
piece
now,
they dropped into it.
Right, but they had a great team.
they're solid top to bottom. That's the one thing, I said, their blueprint is they built from the inside out. Yes, they've got great skills players.
Browns don't have the inside built yet.
No, they don't, not yet.
They don't have anything built
and they're
yet.
not going to build it in this draft. Like, they've got so many holes. The offensive line is old and injured. Like, you're not going to fix that with one pick, but you're going to take a step towards getting better.
There may be, by the time the Browns are a legit contender, there's probably nobody on their current offensive line that's going to be part of the team. Maybe DeJuan Jones if he can stay healthy, but that's it.
Yeah.
So you said running back.
I think running back.
G,
I think
you
that
said
Henderson
quarterback,
is better
no
than
row.
everybody else.
No, I don't think I said I would do that. I don't think
What do you
they'll
think
do
they're
it.
going to do?
He said defensive line.
They might draft that dude from. I'm not the dude from Marshall.
They're going to take an offensive lineman. I feel
think it's
confident
offensive
in
line.
that. But
So Bull and I are in agreement on
I'd
that.
love,
Yeah.
I'd love if they could get Green, and he can be a good citizen. That's one of those that you look back. Remember, Warren Sapp slipped on draft day 10, 12, 15.
He went 12th, looked up last night. But the Browns
Because of the marijuana
have taken
issue.
bad
Yeah.
character guys.
Yeah. Going back to
Impacted
Mason
early.
Graham,
No,
by
they
the way, Mason. We talked a lot about drafting Travis Hunter. One of the positives of Hunter, extremely high
Clean.
character.
Yeah.
Same thing with Mason Graham, high character
Yeah,
guy.
great
There's
guy.
no doubt about it. So
Yeah.
that's a real positive with that pick.
Absolutely.